Hi, I'm Hugh Malkin, one of the designers and inventors behind the sample preparation extractor, the XTRX 500. I just want to take a few minutes today with this video to explain how the system works, and I'm also going to run a couple of samples, a hard throat lozenge and also a prolonged release tablet which is enteric coated. I picked these two samples because they can cause problems in sample preparation in the lab. The system can be used for pharmaceutical formulations, from tablets to capsules to powders to pastes, etc. Also for environmental samples, and it has a wider use as well, has been more recently used for extraction from gummy bears and sweets and things like that. As you can see, the system is a benchtop system, quite small. Has a main body here. There's a cassette on the front, or we call this the cassette, and I'll explain a bit more about that shortly. User interface down the bottom has a very simple return button, select, and or dial in button here and enter. Press it down to select. Very intuitive. We opted not to go for a touchscreen because touchscreens and gloves in the lab aren't particularly easy. We wanted something robust, something very simple to use, and hence why we went for this here. So just removing the front cover or the cassette, which is made of polypropylene, and I've also got one of the consumables loaded onto it here, which is a polypropylene pouch. So the pouch comes in two sizes, and this is where the extraction takes place. So with a consumable pouch like this, there's no need for glassware, there's no need for cleaning of that glassware, and there's no need for qualification that your cleaning of that glassware is good. Two sizes. This is I've got in my hand a 500 milliliter pouch. Working range of this pouch is 100 millilitres to 500 millilitres on this one, and then there's a smaller pouch in volume that it will take, and this will take 25 millilitres at the lowest up to 100 millilitres. You'll also notice that the pouches have this moulded part to them here, and this is the jaws, so this is where the crushing takes place within the system, and the bottom part of the pouch is the reservoir where the fluid is kept. The unit itself has two main areas where the process is taking place. There's the mixing area down the bottom here, and then there's the crushing area at the top. The mixing area, we have a process called forced jet mixing, which is done by actually the rollers and the gaps within these rollers. And on both the downstroke and the upstroke, fluid is forced by the rollers between the gaps. And every single stroke that this happens, as it acts upon the fluid that is contained within the pouch, this gives extremely turbulent mixing. And this is much more efficient than, say, a stirrer or a mixer that you would normally have in a laboratory. When you have those devices, you set up a vortex of fluid, and that fluid moves round and round and round. And whilst it's doing that, it has slower interaction with the sample that it's trying to, or that you're trying to dissolve. So if you have very turbulent mixing, which is created by this forced jet mixing on the system here, you get a much quicker turnover of the entire body of fluid. And in sense, you then get a much quicker interaction between the compound that you're trying to dissolve than simply creating a vortex that mixes round and round and round, and everything's just moving as opposed to a lot of turbulence. So that's the mixing zone on the system. Up the top here, we've got this plate. There's not much to actually look at, unfortunately. The mechanism is behind the covers. So with this plate oscillates at a very high frequency, and when it's engaged to the pouch jaws, this part here, it moves these jaws very, very fast. And it's that fast action that enables the tablets or the sample that you're trying to extract Within this region here, it moves through the crushing zone and then into the mixing zone. It gets crushed very effectively and very quickly as a result of this crushing zone up here. Probably better to show a sample to explain in more detail, which I'll do in a second. You might have also noticed that the pouch carries a label up here, and this label carries a barcode. This barcode tells the system what size pouch, whether it's a 500 milliliter pouch or a 100 milliliter pouch. You can also have multi-stage methods, and this barcode, along with the system, will track what has actually happened with this pouch. So if you're doing multiple samples at once, you can take them on and off the system, put them back on for the next stage of the method, and the system will recognise the barcode, say, okay, I've done stage 1 of my method, I'm now going to move to stage 2 of the method. The system is very easy to look after, it's very easy to install, very easy to clean. There's a self-test, self-install option on here that you just select. It takes about 40 seconds to run. The system does a full diagnosis of itself, and at the end it gives you a pass report. As I said, it's very quick to do. You do that when you take the system out of the box, put it on the bench for the first time, run that, and then you could do that every day, or you could do that between sample sets if you wanted. So you've got a complete record that the system is behaving as you expect it to. Any uploads or methods that you want to transfer onto the system, there's a USB port on the side. They can go on there via a USB stick, and you can also lock the system down and have user privileges and keep methods safe. So you have the system either in an R&D environment or a QC environment. If you want it locked down within either of those environments, you can do that. So just moving on to run a sample now. What I'll do first of all is I'll do what we call a dry crush. So there'll be no fluid in the pouch, and we'll just do a crush with the tablets up here, and that will give you a sense of the crushing efficiency within this. Got a throat lozenge, a Strepsil, and these are quite a hard lozenge, as you can tell there. I'm going to put a couple into the pouch at the top here. So they sit in this section of the pouch at the top. As I said, they're going to get crushed and pass through the jaws. The capacity here, we could probably get 15 or so of these large lozenges into this space, or certainly get many 500 milligram tablets into here. So you can either do single tablet or you can do multiple tablets, entirely up to you. I've put 2 in there just so you can actually see some powder come through, a bit more obvious to see that. So samples loaded in here. I'm going to crush it through here and into the pouch. So load the cassette onto the unit. You might have seen it, but the barcode reader read the label up here. System is now asking me down here what I want to do is give me the option of run immediate mode. I can either run immediate mode, or I could select a predetermined method that is in the system. But in this case, I'm just going to run immediate mode. Okay, so I've selected immediate mode. It's telling me I've got a 500 milliliter pouch. It's asking me, do I want the crusher on or crusher off? Do I want the mixer on or mixer off? I don't have any fluid in here, so obviously I'm going to turn the mixer off. Again, just simply toggle up and down and press select. I've got it set for 3 minutes. It's not going to need anywhere near 3 minutes, but I can interrupt that. So I'm just going to go down and press run. When I press run, it will lock the door, and then at that point I can't take the cassette off at all, and then it will start the crush sequence. Okay, so I've stopped that. I think it ran for about 10 seconds or so. I've interrupted that. I'm just going to finish now. It will unlock the door. Okay, take the cassette off. and hopefully you can see now, no strepsils up here, but a very nice crushed powder down the bottom or below the things here. So what you can imagine now is I've gone from 2 solid tablets, and I've taken those into a powder. I've now drastically increased my surface area, so when I do any extraction into fluid now, that will be much more efficient and a much quicker process. Okay, so that's a dry crush. In practice, you wouldn't necessarily need to do a dry crush, and in fact most applications that we run don't have a dry crush. They have a simultaneous mix and crush at the same time. But I just wanted to show you that to show the principle of the crushing there. If you can imagine trying to crush those without this device, either with a mortar and pestle or something else, you would get potentially get sample loss, and it's actually quite a difficult thing to do. But this is all contained within the pouch, so no sample loss, nice and clean. And your fluid at the next stage, so I could add fluid to this and do an extraction that way. But what I'm going to show now is I've got a pouch preloaded with fluid, and I'm going to put the strepsils in the top and do a crush and mix at the same time. Okay, so here's one I prepared earlier, as the famous saying goes. I've got 250 millilitres of water in the bottom of my pouch here. I'm going to run another couple of throat lozenges, strepsils in this. Simply pull the hinge over and it gives me a nice opening there. I can just drop these straight in, pop the hinge back. Got my tablets to be crushed and extracted, and I've got my extraction fluid down the bottom. Right, so load this one onto the system. Okay, again it's asking me to go into immediate mode, which I'm going to do. So I'm going to select immediate mode by just pressing down. This time obviously I want my mixer on as well, so I'll just toggle that to on, and then I'm just going to go down to run. I will interrupt it again, it's set for 3 minutes. The system does always remember the last sample you run, and it will default to those conditions, which makes it easier if you're, say, doing multiple batch of samples. I will interrupt it, it's set for 3 minutes. It won't take anywhere near 3 minutes to do this, so this time it's going to do the crushing at the same time it's going to do the mixing. Worth me saying at this point that the fluid pathway for the mixing, there's a lot of turbulence happening down in the mixing region here, but the fluid also travels up the side of the pouch and then back down through the crushing zone. And that takes any of the sample that is up in this region, and also any sample that's within the crushing zone. You also get a lot of turbulence in this region, because remember this is moving at very high frequency here, and that creates a lot of turbulence in that area. Right, so let's run this one. Okay, so that's probably done. I've cancelled, I've interrupted that, and now I'm just going to take it off, let it unlock. Okay, so hopefully you can see no tablets, no strepsils at the top. All nice and clear in the jaw region here, and I've got a very nice clear solution down the bottom there. So I've gone from whole tablet there, and then I've got my extracted solution down here ready for analysis. So I just take an aliquot of this solution down here, and then I can analyse that. But I hope you can appreciate how efficient and how quick that is. I stopped that after about 10 seconds, but it was probably even quicker than that. If you have compounds that go into solution a bit slower, then obviously you mix for longer. But in this case, the tablets are quite soluble in water, and you can see a very nice homogeneously mixed solution there ready for analysis. Very clean, very quick, and very easy. So I'm just now going to run well, this is a compound called Toviaz. It's a prolonged release formulation. It's a cellulose-based prolonged release formulation, and it also has an enteric coating on it. So it can be quite a problematic type of formulation to get good sample preparation on within the lab, consistent sample preparation, error-free sample preparation. But on here, that sort of just manages that, makes it all a lot easier, makes it more consistent, and sort of an automated system versus more manual style methods can reduce a lot of the errors. Okay, again, just going to pop those in there. But notice I've got no fluid down here. I'm not going to do an extraction. You saw that on the last sample. But what I want to show you is a crush of an enteric coated with a prolonged release formulation. Back to the principle earlier, once you get the solid tablet into a powder and you've increased the surface area, then extraction can be much quicker. Typically we can do an extraction in seconds or minutes. That might be taking you hours in the lab right now. But I'm just going to show you a crush on this, just to show you a little bit more of a difficult sample. What I should say is I've concentrated on more difficult types of samples, but that you can run this for immediate release quite comfortably, and it brings all the benefits of having the pouch system, a system that is recognising what it's doing. You can have stored methods, etc. And you can just make your lab flow of standard tablets better and easier and less prone to error as well. But let me run this one. Again, it's gone into media mode and it will have defaulted to my conditions from last time. I'm going to turn the mixer off and I'm going to hit run, and let's see what happens on this one. Okay, I've given that one 10 seconds to get crushed. A proper method would be to mix and crush at the same time, but again I just want to show you the crushing performance of this. Okay, so we've gone from our enteric coated tablet that would have been very hard to get into solution. Now we've got, you might be able to see that on camera, I'm not sure if you can, but there's some of the coating there, and the rest of it is the powdered prolonged release formulation, the cellulose in this case. It could quite equally be a polyethylene oxide type polymer. Again, got it into a powder now. Extraction, if I had fluid in here, would be quick and it'd be very consistent as well. So hopefully that's given you a quick overview of the system. Be great to get your feedback, or if you want any more information, then go to camtech.com, and we'll gladly assist you in getting your lab set up with an XTRX 500 or a demonstration of one. Thank you.